My panel is back with me now. I mean, she's talking about changing the convention. Obviously, if Judge Merchan thinks the same way that she does, Donald Trump is facing actual prison time.
That was remarkable, first of all, by Judge Cordell. I mean, perfect prescient analysis by a wonderful judge who has done this job. It's going to be such a difficult call for Judge Merchan. I mean, we've looked at sort of broader studies. There's no case quite exactly like this, but if you look at the comparable pool of cases, the majority of defendants, somewhere in the 70 to 90%, convicted of comparable crimes, do not get prison time in the New York system. But I think the judge just articulated the contrary argument. To me, it feels like a coin toss, what Judge Merchan does here, 50-50. The other really important question...
34 counts. Before I point, it's 34 guilty counts.
34 guilty counts in a felony.
That matters.
That matters. Mm-hmm. He has been held in contempt 10 times before this judge. Okay, that's not a normal thing. I personally have never had a defendant be held in contempt and then not just get put in 10 times. That's a huge deal. He has 3 open indictments, federal and state crimes, right, and other jurisdictions.
With the presumption of innocence, though, does that factor in?
Of course it factors in, but in this particular case, the jury said, this was not a porn star hush money case, the jury said he interfered with an election. And so that is it doesn't get more serious than that. So I think this is one of those 10 to 30% that if his name wasn't Donald J. Trump, he would have been incarcerated a long time ago, given his conduct and who he is in these charges.
That's not quite fair. They did not specify what their basis was. They did not make a finding that he interfered with the election. That's just not true. I'm sorry. They found falsification of business records for some other unnamed crime.
That's correct. There wasn't a special verdict form, and so we don't know what target offense they think it might have been. It may have been for the tax, the tax count. It may have been for falsification of other records. So we don't know.
And they never had to agree unanimously on that point.
Correct. Exactly. And so without having that special verdict form, we don't know, what they actually convicted him of, under what theory. Now, I do think that she makes a great point there that I had not heard before about the difference between a low-income defendant versus a wealthy defendant with this type of circumstance. I'll tell you one thing. And I've done sentencing before Judge Merchan before, I would not suggest the defendant speak at the sentencing. Of course, that's his right, whether he wants to speak or not.
Even to say he's remorseful, which we don't think he might say, but even for that reason?
That's the point. I don't think he would say that, so that's why you don't want him to talk. You're going to instead, say that, my client does still maintain his innocence and he's going through the appellate process. We believe that there are certain appellate issues here, so don't hold that against him, but instead focus on issues such as the history and characteristics of the defendant, lack of criminal history, all of those types of things.
Lana, you're smiling. Why?
Well, first of all, when I heard the congressman talk about a double standard and didn't answer your question, this is a state prosecution, a voted grand jury indictment, and the very same crime that the federal prosecutors sent Michael Cohen to prison for is being disparaged, and it's called political when it applies to Mr. Trump. So if you read the federal prosecutor's sentencing memorandum of Mr. Cohen, it was very harsh because they called this an attack on democracy, not about hush money and sex. So I would at least suggest to anyone that considers this to be a double standard, this is New York State, it's a crime. Mr. Trump cannot pardon himself of this crime. And what Mr. Cohen did is serve time. Federal prosecutors working for Trump's Justice Department said that Elie and I have disagreed on this, that Mr. Trump directed Michael Cohen, who did the time. Now Mr. Trump has to face the issue, is will he do the time?
Well, to be clear, his federal conviction was not just for the FEC violation.
It was one of many.
And the other allegations, the fraud allegations, the taxi medallions, the sentencing guidelines on those were so high that the FEC violation didn't even really move the guidelines up. So he primarily went to jail for the other offenses.
I don't know about you all, but I'm so curious as to hear potentially one day from one of the jurors to see what went into their whole consideration. It's obviously their right not to say anything, but I certainly hope we will get some insight in the future as to what went into this historic decision to convict by 34 counts a former president of the United States. Thank you to everyone.